In Winter Park, Florida, Danielle Redlick makes a desperate 911 call. Her husband has suffered a terrible injury.
He might have had a heart attack. I don't know.
Did you just find him?
No, actually, it happened last night.
But what really happened to Michael Redlick? Did he have a heart attack? Did he attempt suicide? Did he attack his wife and then she kill him in self-defense? Or did she murder him? That's what an Orange County, Florida jury will have to decide as we get ready for the next live trial on Court TV. Meanwhile, more fallout from the stunning Johnny Depp trial and verdict. Everyone wondering, what is next for Camille Vasquez, the attorney who took on Amber Heard on cross-examination?
You wanted to be seen, as a noble victim of domestic violence.
I have never wanted to be seen as a victim.
And on the docket in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Playboy model murder trial. Kelsi Turner, accused of the brutal murder of a California doctor who allegedly gave her hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I warned him when he was there that, maybe you ought not wait to come home. Maybe you ought to just come home on the next flight.
Get ready. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. I'm Vinnie Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We're getting ready for the next live trial here on Court TV. We're going to talk about it now. For those of you who don't know, before I joined Court TV, the first time around, I was working down in Central Florida News 13, all local all the time. Beautiful area in the country, and there was a town there called Winter Park, which was like, that's where you wanted to live, right? You're in Central Florida, in the Orlando area. That is like the town to live in, folks, with money, beautiful lakes. It was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful town. Anyhow, the next live trial, Court TV, Winter Park, Florida, is where either a murder or maybe self-defense or maybe a heart attack, something took place. We know that Michael Redlick ended up dying there, and now his wife has been charged with his murder. Julie Janae has more for us tonight.
I believe my husband is deceased. He's stiff and I didn't wonder he might have had a heart attack.
Michael Redlick, an executive for the University of Central Florida Sports Business Department and a former NBA executive for the Memphis Grizzlies, was found dead in his Winter Park home.
Okay. Did you just find him?
No, actually, it happened last night.
Redlick's wife, Danielle, called police to report his death, but not until 11 hours after he was fatally wounded after an argument. She initially claimed that her husband had a heart attack and then changed her story when questioned by a 911 operator.
He was not okay last night. We had altercation and he stabbed himself, and I ran into the bathroom, and then when I came out, I was trying to help him.
When officers arrived on the scene, they found a disheveled Danielle Redlick outside her home. Police photos show Redlick with wounds to her wrist and blood on her neck and feet. She was taken to an Orlando area hospital. Inside the home, police discovered evidence of what appeared to be a violent crime, including a pile of bloody towels, bloody footprints, and a 5-gallon bucket filled with pink water. Police suggested it looked as if someone had been cleaning up. A serrated knife was found on the floor near the entry of the kitchen, and 2 additional knives in the sink, all of them with traces of blood on them. Investigators interviewed Danielle Redlick at the hospital. She told them the fight between her and her husband started over a text from another man the night before a stabbing.
Thursday, my husband was very belligerent and distraught. He found out, he found a text from another man to me, and we had some issues in the last year. He basically cheated on me, and it was a big, long, drawn-out thing, and we finally came around to living together again and possibly trying to work it through, but I think that really wasn't happening.
According to the police report, the couple had a complicated relationship. Redlick, 20 years older than Danielle, was first married to her mother, and after she died from cancer, Redlick began dating and eventually married his stepdaughter. But their 17-year relationship, according to investigators, was rocky, marred by alleged infidelity and arguments over dating apps. A family friend said that Michael Redlick even joked about the potential for violence.
How are things at home, or how is your wife? And he would say, as long as I can lock the knives up, I'm okay.
The couple's 2 children, 11 and 15 years old, were not at home at the time of the alleged stabbing. Police say they told investigators that it was their mother who was volatile and argumentative. One of those fights in a separate incident prompted a call to 911 by their father.
Yes, there's a woman that's a danger to herself and to others right now.
A gentleman that's a danger to
I'm sorry. Pardon me? Pardon me? Will you stop? Oh, all right. I will call you back. I will call you back in 5 minutes.
Investigators say that Michael was stabbed multiple times in the torso and concluded those injuries could not have been self-inflicted. Danielle Redlick was arrested and charged with her husband's murder and also with trying to conceal evidence. She has pleaded not guilty and maintains her innocence. If convicted, she faces up to life in prison.
All right, there's a lot of parts of this story you could dive into. First, the nature of the relationship, how they met, all of that. But first, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Albert H. Wunsch III, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt, and in Cabarete in the Dominican Republic tonight, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crosland, down in the DR. How about that? Okay. Let's begin here. Before we start discussing anything in this case, I want to go back and listen to the 911 call from Danielle Redlick, and let's listen closely to what she tells the operator.
I believe my husband is deceased. He's stiff and he didn't want it. He might have had a heart attack. I don't know.
Did you just find him?
No, actually, it happened last night. He was not okay last night. We had altercation, and he stabbed himself, and I ran into the bathroom, and then when I came out, I was trying to help him, and I saw he was lying in blood. And then I tried to help him, and I couldn't.
Okay, this is an obvious problem. Al, let's start. Which came first, the heart attack or the self-inflicted knife wounds?
Well, I think I'd have a heart attack if someone was stabbing me. So that's probably what happened in this instance. So she may not be lying in that fact. There may have been a heart attack, and it would have been precipitated by the fact that she had a serrated knife and was stabbing me multiple times. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is Darnell is on the islands, and I'm exceedingly jealous. Problem number three is that I am also in the islands, but that's Manhattan, Staten, and Long. Okay, so that's what I want to say on that. But let's go back to this situation. This story just stinks from the head down. There is nothing in this story. I don't understand how she didn't take that plea. I don't know how she is not like pleading to the manslaughter and just saying, thank you, Lord, that I got a manslaughter case out of this, because you've got all of the, 11 hours for 911? Even if I couldn't remember the number for information, it wouldn't take me 11 hours to find out 911. But it took her 11 to do that. And then the fact that she did the cleanup, and the fact that she's got these like weird wounds on herself that look probably self-inflicted to make it look like something happened to her. This is just a horrible case. And the fact that she's getting the public defender out of all this is even more bizarre to me, because look at this home. It's an
Winter Park. It's beautiful. Home. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood, beautiful home. Jennifer Brandt, none of this makes sense, but now it's time for the trial. Everyone has a defense. They always do. The defense here, we believe, is going to be self-defense.
That's right. Absolutely.
And how does that work? How do you go from heart attack to suicide to self-defense and do it with a straight face?
Well, she's going to claim that she was abused by him. He was
he was unfaithful, he was a bad husband, he was abusive to her, it was self-defense, she had no other choice, she was shocked by what happened, that's what took her so long to call 911. I mean, okay, maybe it's not all plausible, but I think it's a defense, and I think that's what she's going to assert. I mean, that look at what I can't get by in this case is the fact that she was his stepdaughter, and then he married her. That's pretty bizarre in itself. So she's much younger, and she can say, look, he was controlling me, he was abusing me all throughout the marriage. I mean, there's a lot of things she can come up with, and he's not there to say that it's wrong. So I think she does have a defense, and that's probably why she didn't take the plea.
Yeah, I'm listening to those words, come up with. I always hear that from the defense, Darnell. Why is that? They're going to come up with something. Why do you have to come up with something? Why can't we just tell the truth?
I mean the truth, Vinnie.
Why can't we just tell the truth, Darnell? Why does the defense always have to come up with something?
It's because they believe that the prosecution is right, and they believe that you're presumed guilty and you got to prove yourself innocent. And that's really what our system of justice has come down to. That's why we have to come up with something. But the truth of the matter is, in this particular case, I think Jennifer's right. We're heading towards an extreme emotional distress defense. And the whole setup here, if this gentleman, that was his natural daughter, the jury will be looking at him as though he was the villain. Now, I think they're going to be able to extrapolate that same feeling, even though it's his stepdaughter. He exercised all this control, all this power over her, and now there's probably going to be a history of mental control, physical control, and forget about the 911 calls. She probably was losing it. And I think that's why, to Al's point, she didn't take the manslaughter, because she's going to have her day in court and say, this was my father, and this was what I've been subjected to. So we don't have to come up with anything. We just have to present the case to the jury. And I think that she's going to have a plausible
I like
argument.
it better when you say that, because when you say, what are we going to come up with, Al, and this issue is a real issue, I think, in the case, is the nature of the relationship, stepfather, but it seems that they had a real life together, 2 children that they raised. It wasn't like it was like a year and things went haywire. They were together for quite some time. They had a long relationship. So I've got to think that while it started a little different than most relationships, by the time you're in the middle of the whole thing, you're raising a family, it might have some level of normalcy, or am I completely off base here?
Well, I mean, it gives credence to the adage, all marriage is relative. But under the circumstances, this was a relationship that seemed to have been good. It didn't seem like it was something that was taking advantage of a stepdaughter position and things along those lines. She had kids with him. She had an age difference. She didn't seem to mind living in this $1 million house. She didn't seem to mind that, he was providing for her. I mean, there doesn't seem to be that this is the stepdaughter and he's taking advantage of her and that this happened, like you said, just, months after they buried the mom, all of a sudden, he's running after her into the bedroom. So I don't think that's going to work to her advantage by any stretch of the imagination. Come up with, I agree with Darnell. I mean, that's not the phrase. You have to throw things out there that are plausible so that you can,
throw things out there. Now the defense is just throwing things out there. Come on,
that's
Al.
what this is.
It's a search for the truth, and we're just throwing things out there?
Let's face it. This situation, you're not going to be able to get around an 11-hour gap, okay, on a scenario with regards
unless you've
to
got a psychological expert to come in and explain what she's going through. That's the only way I see it. I'm not selling it. I'm just throwing it out there, Al. I'm just throwing it out there.
That's like,
Al's talking about marriages.
I'm sorry.
I can say, wait, Al, just stop it. Al's talking about marriages, and I can say as a divorce attorney, you never know what's going on behind closed doors with people, and they may seem like they have a great relationship, and just because they have kids together doesn't mean that they have a great marriage. Let me tell you, there's plenty of people out there that have kids together that don't have great marriages. So I think there is trouble in this marriage. I think she's going to present the truth that there was a difficult relationship, that he was controlling, she was emotionally abused, and that's her defense, that's her truth. because you don't like to say come up with things. And so I think
I'm not the one who
that's why
says
she
it.
didn't
It's
take
the
a plea.
defense attorneys who always say it. I don't say it. They're the ones. Darnell, does she have to testify in this case?
She doesn't have to, but in my experiences, and again, winning several trials in a row as of late, I do believe that even though
in the Caribbean,
even though we say to the jury when we pick them, we say, you understand this individual has a right not to testify. Can you not hold that against them? Juries time and time again indicate that they want to hear the other person's side. So she doesn't have to, but I think this is such a human story that I think they'll benefit from having her testify.
Yeah, I think she has to, because she has to explain that phone call to this jury. They have to understand why. And maybe a psychologist might do it or someone else, but she has to explain, because it doesn't make sense. I think Al is right on with that the 11 hours that you're waiting, and there's now, this is the third version of what happened, because you listen to 911, it's a heart attack, then it's suicide, then we're at trial, and we've got a brand new story. Anyhow, when we come back, Think Tank with us the whole hour. We've got some more fallout from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. We're going to talk a little bit about Camille Vasquez. What is next for her? The woman who's really the breakout star of this trial, the one who cross-examined Amber Heard. What's her next step? Huh.
Hi, everyone. Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Clearly, the breakout star of that trial. Now, the whole team did a great job for Johnny Depp, but everyone's talking about Camille Vasquez because she had that moment. She is the one who cross-examined Amber Heard during the trial. Chanley Painter has more about Camille Vasquez. Who exactly is she?
That's the knife you gave to the man who was hitting you. You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle in Australia. You weren't scared of him at all, were you?
From courtroom counsel to internet celebrity, Camille Vasquez has become known around the world for her zealous advocacy of Johnny Depp.
She would tell him he wasn't man enough because he wouldn't stay and fight with her.
She didn't let up when it came to her cross-examination of ex-wife Amber Heard.
As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
Her repeated objections, now gone viral, had Heard's attorney struggling for momentum, all caught on TikTok and other social media platforms with millions of views.
Do you know whether the records, medical records from your EMT were produced in discovery?
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation calls for speculation.
I'm asking.
Overruled if she knows.
Thank you.
Yes.
And do you recall? I'm trying.
The 38-year-old Vasquez has become the darling of Depp fans. Vasquez made her legal bones in California. She's an associate at Brown Rudnick. According to her firm's bio, her current practice focuses on plaintiff-side defamation lawsuits. She went to law school in Los Angeles, graduating magna cum laude from the University of Southern California, and received her law degree from Southwestern Law School.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Johnny Depp showed his appreciation for her cross-examination of Amber Heard with a hug, and is often seen pulling her chair out for her. She does have critics who say her contempt for Heard's claims is a setback for abuse victims. But her supporters say she's standing up for male victims of domestic violence.
Rock star lawyer, doesn't happen. I mean, cheers, like an eruption every time she walked out of that courthouse in Virginia. Let's bring back in our think tank, still with us, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crosland, Jennifer Brandt with us. Let me ask you, Jennifer Brandt, what's the next step? Camille Vasquez, you have this big moment. You know, Hollywood's knocking on the door a little bit for her. Other law firms. What do you do with all of this if you're a lawyer who suddenly becomes a rock star lawyer?
Well, she's got the world at her hands, so she'll decide her next move and where she's going to go.
No, we're going to decide right now. We're going to plan out the rest of her career right here, right now.
She either stays at her firm, which seems like she's pretty happy there. They gave her a big role in this trial. She had a lot of responsibility for a big client, so it seems to me that she's rising at the firm and that they have a lot of confidence in her for sure. Or she'll move on somewhere else, continue her legal career. I understand she even has television offers. But what's so amazing is that we're talking about her like she's so amazing, and she is great, but is it because she's a woman who actually can do her job? Is that why we're all so shocked? Because it seems to me that that's what she was doing. She was a great lawyer. She did a fantastic job for Johnny Depp, but why are we so shocked by that?
Well, I don't think we're shocked. I mean, have you watched some of the trials on Court TV? Sometimes we have some really, I'm not going to say bad, but very like, wow, that was the cross-examination. This was the moment. It was the moment.
The world is talking about her, with amazement because she did such a fantastic job. But she did her job and she did it really, really well, and that's great, And I think we shouldn't be so surprised. I guess that's.
I'm not surprised. I'm wondering what the next move is. Darnell, Crosland, what does she do? What does a lawyer do who now becomes a rock star?
Well, a couple of things. I'm going to be a hater for a little while.
Asking him that question.
Yeah, exactly.
Asking Darnell that question.
I'm gonna have to be a hater for a little while. We watch a lot of these cases on Court TV, and you have these extreme difficult cases, murder cases, et cetera, and I've done these. And we don't get the credit that we deserve. Then you have this case that plays on forever, where these people get this big purse. And I'm not saying that she wasn't doing her job, but it was like, did you see her hit Johnny? Did you see him by the elevator? What happened then? And who was in the bed? I mean, there was nothing really like genius here. And that's the thing that gets me sometimes. And you got people down south in Georgia right now, some lawyers that no one's watching their cases, that's doing some really heavy lifting. And they get no credit for it. So she's a young lady. I'm hating a little bit, but what's next for her is the same thing that's for all the other big lawyers who represented Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, et cetera. They're going to run through circuit, and everyone's going to go to them for a little while, and then they'll just die out and be back, back to where they were. Fame doesn't last long these days.
Fascinating. Should I ask Al or not? Should I go on to the next subject?
No, wait a minute.
Skip Al.
Well, Al, you were a rock star first, then you became a lawyer, so that is correct. You've got the whole thing backwards.
But if we really want to make news, she should come out and say that she's dating Johnny Depp. Then we really have some news.
No.
Okay, Al, I've got a different question for you, Al. I got a different question for you. We got a different one. I want to show you some video. This is video from the last day of the trial. I want you to take a look at the court reporter, the stenographer who takes down the official court record afterwards, as we can see it. Maybe drop those letters there so we can see everything on the screen. There she is, shaking hands with Johnny Depp. Okay, the court reporter shook hands with Johnny Depp. Now, I've got a second video to show you. Video 2. This is at the hotel where Johnny Depp is staying afterwards, and that's the same court reporter. This is while the jury still has the case after closing arguments, the day of deliberations. And she's there with Johnny Depp. And apparently she released a statement explaining this video, which is blowing up on social media. She said, I guess Johnny had told them he would really like to meet the court reporter, which was shocking to me. I'm like, I'm just the court reporter. Johnny was in there, and so I had to go in there and get my equipment, and I saw him, and they're like, he really wants to meet you. I was probably in there for less than 10 minutes, and he just hugged me and thanked me again. And I hugged a couple of other people there, and I got my equipment, and I came out, left, and went home. She's a court reporter that was hired by both parties for this case, and apparently there was some equipment that was left at court that she had to retrieve from Johnny Depp's team at the hotel after court. Was there anything wrong with what we just saw, Al?
No, who cares? I mean, who cares? It's just
everybody on social media cares. They want to know, is this right, is this wrong?
Idiots. Who cares? Okay, and I agree with Darnell. I mean, what was this cross-examination that this woman did? It was shooting fish in a barrel. She represented the better character, and she was able to get ahead on Amber Heard. If a guy had tried to pull that crap, if a guy had tried to pull that stuff with her, we'd all be in trouble. But because it's a woman on a woman, it's not a big deal. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this, that it was not that difficult. There was no, I agree with Darnell, there was no extraordinary moment where, like, you know, the door opened and the surprise witness walked in. Nothing happened during that cross-examination. That shouldn't have happened. She did her job, okay? And I agree. And now, wait a minute. Now, wait a second. I also agree that we shouldn't be singling her out that way because she was doing her job, and she did her job efficiently. But she didn't have, this is not the Scopes monkey trial, okay? This was, he said, she said, and it was an absolute just shooting a fish in a barrel. He played the better character in this, and you know what? Him going over to the court reporter is just part of the character he played during this trial. And that's the whole thing with this. Johnny Depp was a better character. He's not a better
Okay, Al, you've used up the rest of the time from the trial. There we go. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Listen, you know, you can't underestimate what she did. She did an excellent job, and I think that's why we're all talking about her. And I mean, her objections and everything. And it wasn't shooting fish in a barrel because her cross-examination stood on its own. I mean, Johnny Depp, yes, he testified. That had nothing to do with her. She was really good in that cross-examination with Amber Heard. She had Amber Heard on her toes. Oh no, but she did more than her job. She did an excellent job, and I don't think you can say that she didn't. And I don't think it was so easy. I mean, look, this is in front of cameras. This is a long trial, and she held her own in that trial with a lot of other lawyers who were more senior than her, more experienced than her. And I think that's why people are talking about her, because she really showed that she's an excellent lawyer, and that's why
she stepped up. She met the moment and won the case.
All right, and that's why they gave her the responsibility, probably, to do that, because they knew she was so good.
All right, I have a programming note to bring all of you tonight. You ready? Court TV's Chanley Painter will sit down one-on-one with Johnny Depp's attorney in his defamation case, Ben Chew. The entire interview will premiere Wednesday night, right here on Closing Arguments. Ben Chew, Chanley Painter, one-on-one. You will see it right here. When we come back, we're going to take you on the docket tonight. The Playboy model murder trial. Kelsi Turner, accused of murdering a doctor who apparently gave her hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why would she do that? We'll preview the trial next. On the docket tonight, the Playboy model murder trial. Ted Rollins has the story of Kelsi Turner.
Renowned psychiatrist Dr. Thomas Burchard had been missing for 3 days when his body was found in the trunk of an abandoned BMW in the desert outside of Las Vegas. Judy Earp, his girlfriend of 17 years, was back at their home in California and sensed the doctor was in trouble.
I told him repeatedly that these are not, you know, the kind of people you want to be associating with.
Judy was worried about this woman, 25-year-old Playboy and Maxim model Kelsi Turner. Judy says Kelsi was extorting money from Dr. Burchard.
About $300,000 that I know about, and possibly more.
Burchard had a history of helping others and engaging with young, attractive girls he met online, like Kelsi. That's according to his friend, who did not want to be identified when he was interviewed by KSBW.
These women were just like an escape for him to have somewhere to go. He told me he met Kelsi on the website and met up with her, and they talked, and they went and had dinner a few times.
Dr. Burchard's friend says the psychiatrist started spending time and money on Kelsi, even renting this condo in Salinas, California for Kelsi and her mother to live, along with Kelsi's child. Even after Dr. Burchard stopped paying the rent and Kelsi moved to Vegas, the two did keep in contact. And shortly before the murder, Kelsi reached out to the doctor, according to his friend.
He says, seems that Kelsi's having some trouble with her boyfriend out there in Vegas. He's hitting her, he's abusing her, and she has no money, nowhere to go. And I feel partly responsible for this.
Court documents show that Kelsi Turner was, in fact, reported as the victim in a domestic violence case less than a month before the doctor's murder. Dr. Burchard went to Vegas to see Kelsi, calling his girlfriend Judy only after he had arrived, saying he was spending the weekend and would be back on Monday.
I warned him on Saturday when he was there that, you know, maybe you ought not wait till Monday to come home. Maybe you ought to just come home on the next flight.
After missing his flight and not responding to calls and texts, Judy called Las Vegas police. Dr. Burchard's body was found near Lake Mead, about 25 miles outside Vegas.
The actual incident occurred at a residence in the Las Vegas Valley, and then the body was found out by the lake.
This is the Las Vegas home where Kelsi and her boyfriend John Kennison were living and where investigators believe Dr. Burchard was murdered. Kelsi's roommate, Diana Pena, told a grand jury that Kennison attacked Dr. Burchard with a baseball bat and that after the initial attack, Kelsi insisted that her boyfriend knock him out. Pena also testified that the attack left Kennison covered in blood. According to arrest warrants, police recovered a bag from the Rio Hotel. It's where prosecutors say Turner, Kennison, and Pena fled to after the murder. Inside that bag, investigators found sheets of paper ripped from Dr. Burchard's notebook that contained his banking information and passwords.
Additional information has come to light.
Kelsi Turner was arrested in California 3 weeks after police recovered Burchard's body. Her extradition was delayed after it was determined that she was pregnant. She has since given birth to a girl while in custody. Her boyfriend, John Kennison, was arrested a few weeks later in Las Vegas. Both are facing murder charges. Kelsi's roommate, Diana Pena, pleaded guilty to accessory to murder and is expected to testify at their trials.
All right, let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us, Al Wunsch, Darnell, Crosland, Jennifer Brandt. Darnell, there's a case, co-defendants, a lot of places to point the finger. But you know what? She's the one with the connection to the doctor. She's the one who's, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. She's the one who kind of lures him to Vegas. That's a problem, I think.
I do. And when you look at this case, I studied it. And all I can come up with is the fact that you have a cooperator right now. So the idea is that she has to get in sync with that cooperator. There's not going to be a snow's, chance that she's not in sync with that cooperator and does well. So somehow she's going to have to state that, she brought the doctor out there. She just wanted to get some money, and her boyfriend went off the reservation and went too far. And then she's going to hopefully get a plea that she can see the light of day one day. But to say that she had nothing to do with it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, Al, I look at the connection, the old but-for test, right? But for Kelsi Turner, Dr. Burchard is not going to Vegas.
That's very, very true. Very, very true. It'll be very difficult in a case like this with regards to that kind of an issue. And just so you know, Vin, my subscription to the Italian Playboy starts next week, since you pointed that out that I didn't have the right Playboy magazine collection. So I am getting that, so we'll be able to do some research on that. And I'd just like to point out that today is the 78th anniversary of the Battle of D-Day, and that those boys stormed that beach so that Darnell could lay on his. Okay, so let's keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Jennifer Brandt, where do you see this trial going? Kelsi Turner has not gotten a deal. The roommate took a deal. I don't know if there's going to be a second deal laid out there. If she goes to trial, does she just sit there and point the finger at the boyfriend and say that she is a victim as well?
Yeah, I don't think she has a choice. I mean, she had a good relationship with the doctor for a long time, and maybe she just says, that the boyfriend caused all of this. The boyfriend, as Darnell had said, sort of went off the reservation and just, attacked the doctor who was there to just, tell her that he was cutting her off, and maybe that caused obviously some friction and the boyfriend got upset. So I think that's her best shot at any of this, of getting herself out of this mess. But I don't know. It's the roommate. The roommate may come in and cause trouble for both Kelsi and her boyfriend. So I think Darnell was right. She's got to get in sync with the roommate, or she's going to have some problems for sure.
Darnell,
and also Vinnie,
go ahead.
In the bumper, they showed the police report that substantiates the fact that she was a victim of domestic violence as well. So as Jennifer would know from doing matrimonial stuff, again, we're back at that same page again. So someone was beating her. And I couldn't tell from the bumper and the police reports whether it was her boyfriend, but if it was her boyfriend, then the argument could be that he was beating the hell out of her. He made her bring him out here and was like, you better get him out here or I'm going to kill you. And so there's some pressure there.
Does she garner any sympathy in our system of justice for being a mother of a young child? We saw in her first court appearance she was pregnant. There she is with her mom, but she was pregnant in one of her first court appearances. Does that have anything to do with what is going to happen to her, Al?
It certainly could play a role. I mean, you may get some sympathy with regards to that. And that, she's going to say, I value life. I'm a mother. I gave birth to a child. And that, this means so much to me. I'm not going to take someone else's life, especially someone who was so good to me and things along those lines. It may very well work for her advantage in that.
We shall see. All right, when we come back, time to hear from you, our 13th juror. And it all focuses on a case out of Los Angeles involving a juvenile driving a car down an alley, mows down a young mom with her baby in a stroller. She ends up surviving, as does the baby, but the 16-year-old behind the wheel gets the deal of a lifetime from the DA. Was justice served? Next. Got a case out of Los Angeles causing some outrage by some. It's some wild video from KABC in Los Angeles. I got to warn you, the video is graphic, may be disturbing. You've got a 16-year-old behind the wheel of a car going down an alley, and there you see a mom with a stroller. Mom survived, baby survived. But now the 16-year-old tries to get away. Is ultimately, we'll watch it one more time. You see steering towards the mother with the baby. This is sick stuff. Sick stuff. The driver of that vehicle, 16 years old, got a deal. 5 months in a youth camp. 5 months in a youth, 5 to 7 months in a youth camp. 13th juror, comment of the day. Was justice served? Here's what Karen has to say about all that. Are you kidding me? No, justice wasn't served. The leniency in the judicial system doesn't make anyone afraid to do a crime. Darnell, I'll begin with you on this one. 16 years old, steering at the mom and a baby. They survived miraculously. 5 months in a youth camp?
We're presuming facts, not in evidence. There's nothing that's before us that said he was intending to cause her any harm. It could have been an accident. So that's the first thing. So just because she got hit and looks very, very bad, as you said,
and drove away.
That's a problem. So he probably got the 5 months for leaving the scene of an accident, not for trying to kill anyone. And so we know from Miller versus Alabama that when it comes to juveniles, there's a certain different level of engagement that the courts take. Also, we know that juveniles can't commit crimes, only delinquent acts. So that's why we call them juvenile delinquents. So it's not really what people are looking at it. So there's a lot more that we lawyers have to dissect when looking at these cases.
I don't know. I'm dissecting a young mom on the hood of the car. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I looked at the video, looked like he was pretty much steering at her, and then once he hit her, was driving away. Brandon tonight, justice was not served. A much longer sentence would be needed, in my opinion. if the driver did it on purpose. Okay. Let me ask you, Jennifer Brandt, what was justice served here? I mean, is the kid going to learn his lesson and never do that again?
No, justice was not served here. And I believe that this person was driving a stolen car. So I think that makes it even worse. We're not talking about a 16-year-old who's learning how to drive and, runs into this woman. We're talking about someone in a stolen car, obviously getting away and hitting this woman and then getting 5 months. In a youth camp. Youth camp. I just can't see that the justice was served in that way at all. And this poor woman, thankfully she was okay, and thankfully the baby was okay, but it could have been a lot worse. Certainly looks that way. Michelle, nope, no deal. Send driver away, and a lifetime ban on a driver's license sends the correct message, period. Al Wunsch, your thoughts? Was justice served here? 5 months in the youth camp.
Well, it's odd, Vinny. I have a very similar case that happened in New Jersey with a FedEx vehicle that struck a au pair and a baby and then left the scene. And if it wasn't for a doorbell cam that was able to catch it, we probably wouldn't have been able to find the person that did it. So it's a very similar situation, ran them over and then left the scene. It's despicable, but he's 16 years of age. I didn't know about the stolen vehicle. I didn't see that. So I'm not, I think that if there was a stolen vehicle involved, there's certainly going to be another charge on that. And it's not what they charged him with, it seems like. And no one knows with regards to the license, because I'm sure there's going to be, every time there's an accident with some sort of an injury, you can be looked at, especially at 16 years of age. So he's certainly going to be getting some sort of driving restrictions. Whether it's going to be a lifetime ban, I can't imagine that. 3-time DWI in New Jersey, and you can get your license back in 8 years. So I can't imagine that he's going to lose his license for life. It is a privilege, but he's a kid. He made a mistake. He did a stupid thing. He fled the scene. He panicked. Okay, I don't think he was intentionally trying to hit them. Okay, the same thing that the FedEx guy said. In my case, the FedEx guy ended up getting probation. So there's really no difference. He didn't even have to go to a camp or anything along those lines. He got a 3rd-degree assault and was given probation on it. So I can't say that the 5 months in a youth camp is a slap on the wrist. It is a sentence. It is going to be taking away his freedom for 5 months. And finally, Donna says if the driver purposely ran over a baby and mom, then youth camp is just reinforcement to that 16-year-old that the lives of other people are really irrelevant. Hopefully not getting that message. Big thank you, Al Wunsch, Jennifer Brandt, Darnell, Crosland. Enjoy the DR, my man. We'll see you again. When we come back, folks, I've got some more information that you need so you can help us. That's it.